Who's winning that argument? 15 seconds.
I think it doesn't matter about the drip again, because the reasonably foreseeable circumstance of putting that into the room is that a drug seeker is going to take the drugs. And so you don't need to get to the drip.
Got it. Especially someone who likes to push it in himself, right?
Right, exactly.
To quote the prosecution there. All right, we're on verdict watch here. This has been doing a great job as well throughout this case. Michael, as you watched yesterday, did you think, all right, like the style, don't like the style, or do you agree with Gene that both were stellar? Both sides really did their job yesterday.
I think they both did their jobs in terms of Chernoff being a zealous advocate. I think that we saw from Wahlgren the same preparation and professionalism that we've seen in him the entire time. But I have to say, Mike, what you described as homespun in Ed Chernoff, I describe as gruff. And I started this case with a very open mind and actually a respect for Ed Chernoff, because he did take the California bar exam to be able to defend his client in California because he's from Texas. But on day one, something that he did really has stuck with me, and it's minor, but you'll appreciate this, Mike. On one of the placards in the courtroom, he misspelled the name Michael. All right? You know that that has been the most popular name in the United States for a generation or two now, and it takes someone who's not particularly attentive to detail who would misspell the most popular name in the United States for a male, Michael. And since then, I've not been able to get over this recognition of a lack of preparation and a lack of professionalism on Chernoff's part.
Interesting criticism there, and yes, obviously, that resonates with me, having the same name. Let's go back to Gene Casares. All right, advisor, yes, a good line. To me, I think the prosecution comes back with, he could have made a difference. He could have made a difference. He could have gotten an addiction specialist. He could have done something after the slurring tape, or after so many people said something's wrong with Michael, he assured everybody Michael's healthy. I think there's a pretty good argument coming out of that good line.
It is, and I think Chernoff did a decent job yesterday in his statements in being able to get in some information that wasn't necessarily as part of the facts. So he was suggesting that there was an array of physicians who are prescribing other medications to Conrad Murray, perhaps suggesting that Conrad Murray, or that Michael Jackson, rather,
got it,
that he had his own propofol stash.
All right, much more. We're on verdict watch. Keep it right here.
That they gave the propofol in a bedroom without adequate monitoring. These are big, bold, simple strokes that you don't need to be a biochemist to understand.
Great point there, Michael Barnes. Again, a jury understands that. And we know the prosecutors want it to be that simple. He gave propofol, he left the room, Michael's dead. Done, right?
That's what a number of us have been saying for quite some time, for over 6 weeks now. But Ed Chernoff did a good job at trying to narrow the issue, and I think that it's possible that some of the jurors now could be requesting a timeline and trying to figure out whether or not the propofol would have worn off after 5 minutes. I think that Chernoff had bad facts, really bad facts, and he had to undermine some of the facts, including the testimony of his own witness. But he did the best that he could with those facts, and it was a pretty decent job considering what he had to work with.
Okay, we mentioned the point. Let's listen to David Wahlgren make that point. Again, it's simple. Gross criminal negligence, people. That's what David Wahlgren was saying. Let's listen to that from yesterday.
What Conrad Murray did has never been done before. You heard from the experts in this case. No one has ever seen propofol administered outside of a hospital setting, let alone in a bedroom, in a remote upstairs room such as what occurred in this case. No expert has ever heard of such a thing. This is not just kind of a deviation or an error in judgment. This is criminal, gross negligence, administering an agent that causes respiratory failure if not used properly, that causes death, and doing it as a one-man operation with no equipment, no safety measures, nothing. This has never been seen before. This is bizarre, unethical, unconscionable behavior.
No, I have to disagree with Ann on this one. We commonly agree, but not on this, because Ed Chernoff had just said that the prosecution was trying to blame Conrad Murray for the actions of Michael Jackson. And we know what that was getting at. He was trying to suggest that Michael Jackson was addicted to opioid pain relievers or other medications, and that he made all of this happen. Well, the evidence in this case, especially according to the defense's own expert in addiction medicine, was that Michael Jackson was probably not addicted when you look at the facts in this case. And so then for Chernoff to come around and try to defend Michael Jackson after so offensively saying that he was responsible for his own death is just completely disingenuous and transparent.
Got it. All right. Our lawyers going at it. We got protesters going outside the courthouse. We're on verdict watch. Basically put it on Michael Jackson. And David Walgren came right back and said, no, Michael Jackson's dead. This is about Conrad Murray.
I do think that he did a good job with that. I think that that piece was very emotional, and what I was hoping to see out of Walgren more so yesterday, at both times he spoke, was more of a methodical walking through the facts and applying them to the law as the jury had been instructed. Another noteworthy piece of that clip that we just saw was what Chernoff was doing, again, just demonstrating a lack of full professionalism, the way he was closing his eyes, had his hands on his head and was sort of, I don't know, playing with his eyelids or something. It was just completely dismissive of what Walgren was saying. Whether it was intentional, I don't know, but it wasn't professional.
Got it. Okay. Again, Michael, a big fan.
Yeah, right.
All right. We're on verdict watch. We could have a verdict any bold print for the jury. See, the people need a drip. Michael Barnes, you and I have talked about this one ad nauseum. Let's hit it again. Do the people need a drip? Does that jury need to come out of that deliberation room and say, yes, there was an IV infusion? Or can they get guilty without it?
They can get guilty without it because 3 experts have said that it's possible to get guilty without it on numerous other reasons beyond just the notion of administration of propofol. So that might be one issue. Maybe the defense will be successful at narrowing the question of whether or not there was a dose and drip, but there are so many other deviations from the standard of care that really reasonably would have resulted in these the death or bodily harm of Michael Jackson, that all the elements are met. And so I think that he made a good effort, but I don't think that it could be successful if the jury follows the instructions.
Okay. And Gene Casares, I believe you and I each put that, I believe we both